We'll begin by bandaging the hand. We're using the complete set for the arm. We use the Fix bandage in a narrow 1 inch for the fingers. Anchoring around the metacarpals 3 times, then coming out to the edge of the nail bed and working back. And then anchoring around the metacarpals between each finger here. We don't want to pull with any specific tension. We just want to lay the gauze on flat and try to keep it from wrinkling. After you finish the pinky, you will probably be near the end of the first roll of gauze. You can just lightly tuck the end of the gauze under another bandage. If you need another bit of gauze to wrap the thumb, you can anchor a second piece around the wrist and then follow the same rule of taking the gauze, known as the fix bandage, out to the edge of the nail bed of the thumb, and then rolling it back in a 50% overlap manner toward the base of the thumb. Then lightly lay down any excess gauze. You can prepare ahead of time by cutting a couple of strips of tape and having them handy. Next, we'll apply the stocking on the arm. You do want to use some scissors and just cut a little hole in the base of the thumb. You want the hole to be the size of a centimeter because if it's too large, it will cause the hole to become larger and run down the length of the stocking. So we just cut a small hole there, enough for the thumb to poke through and take the stocking up as high on the arm as you can towards the shoulder. If you have any excess at the end, you can fold it back neatly so that it does not obstruct the use of their fingers. Next, any areas where there is negative space, usually in the elbow crease or around the wrist, you want to use the Vero padding and place some padding in the negative spaces. You may also want to pad any bony prominences to make it more comfortable, since once we apply the short stretch compare compression land bandage, it may be a bit stiff over the bony prominences. Now, we're going to start with the Vero foam, using the soft, stretchy foam at the base of the hand, starting at the metacarpals, and again just rolling it on without any specific tension in a 50% overlap fashion high up toward the axilla on the arm as you go. The higher the better, because the bandage will usually slip down a little bit, so you want to go as close to the axilla as you're able to go. Just pull snugly enough that it doesn't have any gaps or puckers. You can secure the foam with a couple of pieces of tape. I recommend this because if you use the clips, they can tear the foam and it cannot be reused. Next, we're going to start with the 6 centimeter land bandage on the hand. Here, we're going to use the compressive nature of the short stretch land to create the compression for the bandage to move fluid out. So we're just rolling on in a 50% overlap fashion, pinching for the thumb space, and applying it flat down in a 50% overlap. You'll notice we're keeping the bandage close to the arm. We're not pulling or tugging any specific pressure, but we are taking our hand every revolution and smoothing out the bandage that we're rolling out now. So with every revolution of the bandage, we take our hand and smooth out that bandage. Now, due to the law of Laplace, we want to apply this on a part of the arm that has an increasing radius, and that will ensure that we have a naturally gradient pressure which reduces as we go up the arm. That's also why we pad negative spaces to create a perfect cone shape. This allows us to follow the law of Laplace, which says pressure equals tension divided by the radius. Therefore, if we apply with even tension when we're wrapping something that has an increasing radius, we will create a natural gradient pressure with a lower pressure at the top of the arm. In a higher pressure bandage, applying in this manner keeps the bandage comfortable and tolerable, and people don't report pinching or the bandage digging in and creates a much more practical bandage. Also, you'll notice at the elbow, I have the patient bend about 20 to 30 degrees to make sure they have a functional bend in the arm and they're able to do the functional activities because we don't want this bandage to be like a cast. We want this bandage to act as an extra compressive force against the muscle. So, as the muscle pumps internally, the compression bandage works externally, and there's two-way pressure to move the fluid up and out of the limb. Then we can secure the bandage with the Vero clips. If they have skin sensitivities or any issues with skin integrity, we could use tape instead. Next, you'll want to have the patient exercise with the bandage on. Wrist, elbow, and shoulder exercises are all recommended 3 times a day while wearing the bandage for the most optimal volume reduction. Ideally, this bandage would be taken off every 24 to 48 hours. The patient would receive proper skin care, manual lymph drainage if indicated, and then be rewrapped with a new bandage so that we can wrap them at a new smaller size. And they can benefit from continued compression to reduce in size until their measurements plateau. Then, ideally, they'll be fitted with an appropriate compression garment to maintain the reduction.